Don't know what the date is. And I was discharged yesterday, so that was the exciting news of yesterday. All happened in a bit of a flurry, but just so pleased to be out of the hospital. You overwhelmed and a bit bemused by it all, and don't really know whether I'm coming or going. I know it's not my house. I'm in the rental property that Mum's been staying in, but it's just crazy to not feel so institutionalised. I was awake at 2 o'clock in the morning waiting for them to do my blood pressure, obviously, because you do become so institutionalised. And then I didn't sleep particularly well. I was sort of on and off, but it's been quite humid up here, probably like everywhere else. And it was quiet, so nobody shouting out or being sick, or no beeps and buzzers and blips and people coming into the room and stuff like that. So my neutrophils yesterday were 2.3. Normal is 2.5. The neutrophils were the thing that kept me in the room, so at the beginning of the week they were 0, so they've come up really well. My white blood cells have come up quite well. The T cells, they are the things that were given back. They're doing quite well. They're probably at their maximum now. So Professor Hawkins was saying they'll probably sort of tail off. And the other thing they were waiting for were for my platelets to hold. So they needed them to be above 50 to release me from the hospital, and they held without another transfusion and came back at 60 yesterday, which is why I was allowed out. If we hadn't got the rental property, they would have kept me in probably for another 5 days, 5 or 6 days, something like that. Because they didn't want me to travel so far down to London or Devon and not be in reaching distance of them. The maximum distance was an hour. So yeah, I'm a bit bemused and overwhelmed, and in a sense don't really know what to do with myself. But it's so nice to get rid of all of the things that go with hospital. Like, for the past 2.5 weeks, I've had to wee into a bedpan, and so my input and output has been measured for the past 2.5 weeks, and you don't realise how much of your dignity sort of goes with that. Not having to drag around, stand and pump all the time. Yeah, I can't begin to sort of describe how quickly you become institutionalised into the system, and how much that actually, I realised that irritated me. Anyway, the plan is that I see Professor Hawkins on Monday in clinic, and provided everything's okay, then I'm allowed to go home, or what I'm actually going to do is go back to Mum's. So I get a bit of an interim period to keep building my strength and stuff like that up. So for today, for instance, I've been in contact with Sarah, and Paddy's actually off school because he's sick. He's been vomiting, and so I need a little bit of time really to get my strength back up. The last thing I need is to go home and get all of the school germs. I just need that space, probably to collect my thoughts, because I haven't really processed anything that's gone on. I was told I had the brain mets on the Tuesday, and then went into hospital on the Wednesday and sort of entered treatment. And I don't really know how I feel about it. I feel cross. I feel quite angry about it, because I feel like my independence has been removed from me now. And I, to a certain extent, am going to be reliant on Sarah and other people and taxis and public transport, and these are things that I've just never had to really think about. And I know there's ways around it, don't get me wrong, but the ability for me to just get in the car with the dogs and drive where I want to go for a walk is, it's precious, and I don't have that ability now. But hey, we'll get around it because I have to, because I don't have a choice. The plan after Monday, if I get discharged, would be to go down to my mum's probably for about 2 weeks. And then the next time I have to come up to Manchester, unless I start to feel unwell for any reason, would be for a scan, and that's going to be early October. My hair is falling out. If you look, so I don't know quite what to do with it. We've shaved it off, but it feels like it's really quite uncomfortable around the back. It's like if you've got cactus spine needles, sort of those really fine ones. If you get a cactus and you put your hand on it and you get one sort of on your finger, and it really quite irritates. Around the back of my head last night, I kept on getting woken up by, I think, bits of hair that are falling out and then poking back into the quite sensitive skin. So when my mum's back, I'm going to have a shower and give it a good old rub over and see whether we can get all of this hair to just come out, because it's going to come out. There's no two ways about it. There's no point trying to hang on to it. Ooh, bits on my forehead and everything. What else is news? Obviously Paddy's sick. He looked very forlorn on FaceTime this morning. Didn't really want to communicate, but just wanted to hold onto the phone and stare at me, which was quite sweet. The girls are in good spirits. The dogs are in good spirits, which is all really nice. I'm glad everybody's keeping their peck up and not getting all depressed or anything like that. How's it been over the past 2 weeks? It's a blur. I know I've vlogged and you've got a little bit of insight into some of those days, but there were 2 times, once when the chemotherapy was going in and the second time on the IL-2, where I honestly thought I was going to die. I don't recall much of it, but I really did think I was going to die, and I was quite prepared for it. I think the second time was the worst. On the IL-2, I'd had a temperature that was over 38 degrees for over 48 hours. And it was just going up and up and up and up and up. And I can recall them getting more and more and more concerned. More people were coming into the room. And a critical care team, I think, came into the room at some point. And they were talking about putting me on ITU, and the only thing that I was thinking of was how much was that going to cost me. And the only other thing I remember about that was being told to eat ice lollies, and I'm getting so fed up of eating ice lollies that I didn't want any more ice lollies. Stop giving me ice lollies. It frightened me a little bit to think that things could turn so quickly from reasonable to something like that. It did frighten me, but I don't think the dying bit frightened me. It was more my awareness of the upset that was going to cause, and the devastation that would leave for my family and friends. And that was my main concern. It wasn't about me, because whatever was going to happen to me was going to happen, but everybody had been prepared that there was a potential that you could die going through the treatment, but I don't know that you can fully prepare anybody for that, or you can prepare yourself. And the reality was just overwhelming, and I remember, I think a couple of times speaking to Sarah and telling her that, you know, I was gonna die, and what she should do and where things should be, and the fact she should look after herself. And the poor girl must have been beside herself, because I know if it was the other way round, it must truly have been frightening. But I haven't, and I'm here. But it does make you just see life from a slightly different perspective, I think. And I haven't yet processed where that is or what that is. Yeah. So I know a lot of you that are watching this, watching it because you fundraised for me and stuff like that. But there are a couple of other people that are watching it because they're going to be going through till, and I can't stress to you how hard the process is, how difficult it is emotionally and physically. You can't prepare for it. There is no way of preparing for it. There is no advice that I can give you, because your journey will be your journey, and my journey was my journey, and no two journeys are the same. But there are certain things that you will only want to see your very close loved ones. You won't want to see anyone else because of what you're going through. Not because of how you look or whatever, but it will be your state of mind. And even your loved ones, sometimes you don't want it in the room with you. The space, my room was really quite small. I think there were some other rooms on the wards that were slightly bigger, but the space is so claustrophobic at times that having anybody in that space was just agitating. You wanted them to get out. I mean, even the TV, it was too big for me. I'm not a big TV person, but it was on in the background when it worked, just as something to break the sort of monotony of the room and the sounds and stuff. And even that was intrusive. It was just like, oh, get out of my space, you're too big. So prepare yourself how you feel best to prepare yourself. Don't rely on my vlog or what anybody else tells you. I think my best advice is you need somebody around, one person that you will be quite happy being in the room, and they need to be around most of the time, and they need to be close by, because you will go through pyjamas and things like that like it's going out of fashion. And you just need that type of support. I don't know how I would have got through this without Sarah and my mum being up here permanently. Without my mum, I wouldn't have got through it. You know, we have other commitments because of the kids, and so Sarah couldn't have been up here. And if it wasn't for my mum, I wouldn't have got through this journey. She's been a godsend. So, anyway, I sound particularly morbid today, don't I? But I'm just trying to give you an insight into how things have been. And I'm not feeling morbid. I just feel a bit shell-shocked. That's probably the best way of putting it. I think I've lost a bit of weight as well. Or certainly the steroid puffiness has gone down, which is quite nice. I don't think there's any other news. I'm quite excited because my friends are coming tonight. So my friend Beth is coming over from Holland, and Claire is coming up from Wales, and they're staying for the weekend, so that's going to be really cool. And the fact that I'm able to see them out of the hospital room is even cooler. Not that I'm going to get sort of completely over excited and go clubbing in Manchester. Can you imagine it? Just had 2 weeks of treatment and then Professor Hawkins on Monday asked what I did at the weekend. Oh yeah, well I went clubbing in Manchester. What else would you do? You let me out, so off I went. Disco dancing, shaking my tush with all the best moves. Oh dear. Anyway, I'm gonna go because I think I'm waffling now, and I hope it's giving you a bit of an insight into the past couple of weeks, and I'll update you when I know a bit more. Take care. Bye.